If this has ever happened to you, you've gone to the gym, you've set your bag down, you got out your towel and your drink bottle and all your bits and pieces, you get your training diary, and then you just pack your bag and go home. That was me on Wednesday. Look, this is how much exercise I did. Been feeling like that for a few days. I was like, oh, I literally had no motivation, but I don't always need motivation. No, I had nothing of something else, and I just really didn't want to do it. And I could feel that feeling of not wanting to do it building up over the last few days, probably over the last week. So I thought now's a good time to give you an update. Sometimes you set a goal, you start working towards it, and then you go, you know what? Nope. That's what I did. So to cut a long story short, I do plan to compete again in July next year. And right now it's mid-November, so that's like 8 months away. And what happened was, last week all the dates got announced. So I saw the date for next year come out, and it didn't excite me that much. So it's not the competition, it was just me. I just felt a bit tired. So when the dates came out, I didn't have that fire in my ass like I normally do. So I suppose that was the first clue that I wasn't feeling like I had the right amount of energy to put into it. So I kept training, kept eating, kept doing all the stuff I normally do. But then what happened was, over the weekend that we've just had, I had a really big client event. I had a big photo shoot for a whole bunch of my clients that they're all signed for a year, and they're all at the halfway mark or just over. So they've all done at least 6 months of good hard work. And the celebrate was the photo shoot was to celebrate how far they've come. And I had so much fun, like so much fun, that night I was dead, like absolutely brain dead. But I was also a little bit jealous of them, because for a lot of them it was their first ever shoot. And it reminded me of the first time that I ever did a photo shoot. The first time I ever did a photo shoot, it was 2013. I'm going to show you some photos very soon. But my coach had actually organised it for me, and it was actually how I got the idea to do shoots for my clients. Because I had signed up with her because I wanted to do bodybuilding and get on stage, and she had a whole team of competitors that were all doing the same show. And then she hired a friend of hers who was a very good photographer to come in a week before our show to do mini photo shoots in her gym. And of course, we were all a week out from comp, so we were all in the best shape we'd ever been in. So we weren't training specifically for the photo shoot, but it was this really good little add-on that she gave us. And then I actually loved the photos so much that I think I liked them more than my actual competing photos. Because when you're on stage, you're always in these really awkward, uncomfortable, painful positions, which do look good in the photos. But when you do like a gym photo shoot, it's more natural, especially if you use natural lighting. So I always kept those photos, because not only was that the best I looked that year, but it sparked the idea for doing shoots and using that as a carrot and not having to use bodybuilding all the time. So that was my first ever shoot, and I've done so many since. But one thing I realized in the last couple of days is that I've never actually just booked a photo shoot for myself and worked towards it as a goal. I've always worked towards bodybuilding competitions and done photo shoots along the way, but the photo shoots have always been for something else. Like, they were client shoots that I booked for my clients, and then I just tacked myself on at the end or at the start so that I could be on form for my clients. So I was like an afterthought at those shoots. And if you've done quite a few photo shoots, you can kind of wing it a little bit, because you kind of know what to expect. And then there've been other shoots that I've done, individual shoots, but they've always been where a photographer has given it to me complimentary as a thank you for giving them business and things like that. So they were kind of always last minute. I didn't work towards them or plan for them that much either. So I've never just set myself a photo shoot challenge. So I was like, well, if I'm not excited about working towards comp, the most dangerous thing is that you fluff around so much that you go off track, and then when you do decide it's time to compete again, you've made no progress. So I don't want to stop working towards competition. I just want to have a different goal in my head, or something else that's going to keep me on track. So I still am working towards the bodybuilding comp, but that's not what's at the forefront of my mind. So I got my thinking cap on, and if we're mid-November now, I thought, right, why don't I set myself a photo shoot for early next year, because it'll keep me on track over the Christmas period, so I don't go completely crazy during the holidays. So the photographer that I used for my most recent photo shoot was great. I've used lots of different ones in the past, and they have all been really good. And I just really liked his style. It was a new style, different style that I hadn't worked with before. So I said to him, will you come back in a couple of months and do a photo shoot just for me? And he said, yep. So we'll book it in. We're going to sort out a date for the middle of January. So I've got my goal. We don't have a date yet, but we'll set a date for middle of January. And I thought, right, how am I going to make it tangible? How am I going to turn it into a goal? Rather than just have someone take photos of me and I wing it like I always do, how can I turn it into a goal? Well, first of all, I bought myself an outfit. So I just went online before, because it's Black Friday today. So, of course, I had to buy some clothes. So I went on the Adidas website, and I bought clothes that, if I look back on my first ever photo shoot, I wanted to buy something that's kind of similar to what I wore back then. Because when I look at these photos now, hindsight is a beautiful thing. I'm way too lean in these photos. I don't have enough muscle. I think I just got away with it because I had a nice tan and I had my hair done and my eyelashes done, but I'm too lean in those photos. In later competitions and later photo shoots, I was a lot heavier and looked a lot healthier. So how about I do an older, more mature, that doesn't sound very good, does it? Wiser, more muscular, healthier version of the same shoot. So I'll actually try and reenact some of those photos and use those photos as my before. But anyway, I thought that was a really cool little goal, okay, to show how much progress I've made over the years. So I am proud of those photos. I do love those photos, and they really signify an important moment in time for me. I learned a lot that year, but I'm older and wiser now, and I look completely different. So how cool would it be to reenact some of those photos? So I've set myself some new goals, and I've written across the top photo shoot goal. Mid-January, which is about 8 weeks from now, and I've put 4 different reasons why. I think when you set a goal, it's good to have a tangible, like a SMART goal that you're working towards, but also why do you want it? Because then when you have periods where you can't be bothered and your motivation dips, you always come back to the why. Not what to do, but why you're doing it. And if I can think of 4 different reasons why, then it's going to be a very good goal that's going to really keep me on track. Number 1 is, like I said before, to stay on track over Christmas. Prevent me from completely blowing out. Number 2, get some new business promotional material for my clients. So, things that I can use on social media. Pictures of me, looking strong in the gym. Pictures of me doing my online work. Pictures of me in the kitchen doing food prep. So it really gives a 3-dimensional view of me and what I do for my business and who I am as a coach. I think would be really cool. Number 3, this is something that I actually didn't mention earlier, and I'm actually surprised that I haven't done this sooner too, is celebrate the fact that I had my varicose veins fixed. I did this video a long time ago about how I've had quite bad varicose veins in my legs for more than 20 years. And in 2024, I finally had them fixed. It was quite, I won't say it's major, because there are far more major surgeries than having your veins fixed. And I don't even think you can call this a surgery. I think you have to call it procedure. It's still very painful. And I made a whole video about it if you want to watch it. But I've actually never specifically celebrated how much better my legs look. So I'll tell you how I'm going to do that soon. But that is number 3 for my why. And number 4 is creating a really cool before and after from my first photo shoot in 2013 to my last. So putting those photos together and showing how much I've evolved over the years, not just as a bodybuilder, not just as a fitness competitor, but as a coach, as a business person, as a female. I think that's going to be really cool. And I think that's going to make a great story that I'll be really proud to tell. When I do photo shoots, what I love to do is buy an outfit that I would normally wear. So it would be something that I would actually wear in the gym when I'm training. But I save it and then I wear it for the first time at the shoot. So it has that really nice, crisp look the first time I wear it in the photo shoot. And then after the photo shoot, it just becomes stuff that I wear in the gym. I think this is one of the reasons why I was starting to feel like the desire was no longer there. It's because the more years that you've been training for bodybuilding, the more specific your training becomes over time. So if I give you an example, when I first started training for bodybuilding, I needed more muscle everywhere. I was lacking muscle in every department. So I needed to train every muscle group. So the possibility and the exercises I needed to do in the gym were endless. Whereas after you've worked for years and years and years and built muscle everywhere, it starts to come down to the smaller things. So I think it's like the first time you buy a canvas and you paint pictures on the canvas, there's going to be lots of white space for you to work with. And you paint and you paint and you paint. And then eventually you get down to all those tiny little gaps that you need to fill in. That's kind of where you get to eventually. So your training has to be very, very specific. So there's only certain exercises that you want to focus on, and some exercises or some muscle groups you avoid altogether. So for example, I avoid training my quads altogether because I already have big quads. So I don't want them to get any bigger because it throws off the rest of my symmetry. So eventually you just start training the body parts that need to be grown, and that is how it should be. But it does really take the joy out of training. If you love training, it can take the joy out of training because you want to train your whole body. It feels good to train your whole body. So I'm actually going to go back to doing that for a bit. I'm just going to train my whole body twice a week, 2 whole body sessions, 1 focused on pull, 1 focused on push. Calories. Now here's a good one. This is kind of a new way for me in terms of planning out my food, because I want to look at these next 8 weeks as like a lean mass builder. So I'm focusing on building muscle, building strength without putting on any fat. So in terms of the deadline, 8 weeks is not long enough to build any skeletal muscle. If I build anything, it's going to be negligible. But if I work to keep my calories high, then I'm going to recover from the training that I'm doing and put myself in an environment where I'm in the best shape possible to get stronger. So when it comes to the food, I'm actually going to set my calories at around 3,000 because I know that's quite manageable for me. But because this is 2025, it's a much easier way of doing this now too, which I can't believe I did all these years of eating and training without doing it this way. So wait till you hear this, because I have written all down. The first thing I always do, and this part hasn't changed over the years, the first thing that I do is I write down, you can see food plan at the top, lean mass builder, is I start planning out all of the meals that I am going to eat. And I just go meal 1 down to meal 6, and then I write supplements and stuff like that on the other side. So I just write down the food first. For example, meal 1, beef stew, 120 grams of diced beef, 2 cups of broccoli, cauliflower and carrot, pumpkin and celery, teaspoon of flaxseed. That's been one of my favourite off-season staple meals for donkey's years, as long as I've been competing really. So the first thing I always did is write down all the food because this is food that I know is high protein, lots of variety in the plant matter, good quality fats, and the high energy carbohydrates are good quality carbs. They're things like rice. I was going to say rice, oats. So it's just really good, clean food that I find for me is easy to digest. So if I want to eat a high amount of calories, it needs to be food that's easy for me to not just eat, but also digest. So I've done that all the way through. Okay, meal 1 was that. Meal 2 is like a protein and oats with fruity type meal, half a cup of oats, scoop of protein powder. It's got pineapple with pineapple juice and LSA. So I wrote it all out, and this is something that you might want to do too, because I found this was really cool. Then I took a photo of it. I uploaded it into ChatGPT, and I said, ChatGPT, this is my meal plan. Can you tell me the total calories for this meal plan and the macro split? And it came back and said that's 3,300 calories. And the macro split was almost 30, 30, 30, almost exactly like 29, 33, 32, whatever equals 100. So and I wanted it to be 40 protein, 40 carbs, and 20 fats. And I want it to be 3,000 calories. So I just said, can you adjust the meal plan a little bit? Tell me how you're going to adjust it so that the calories are $3,000 or just $3,000. Man, I do need more calories. 3,000 calories or slightly under. And the macro split is 40, 40, 20. So it spit it back out again, and it basically said to me little things like I had salmon on there, and it said swap the salmon for white fish so that the fats come down a little bit. It said change the tablespoon of peanut butter to a teaspoon of peanut, blah, blah, blah. So it's almost exactly the same meal plan with a couple of small changes. So I copied and pasted it into my notes. Next, what I'm going to do is I'm going to order all the food online so I can pick it up from Click and Collect. Because one thing I hate doing is going to the supermarket. I fucking hate it. I would either Click and Collect or deliver to my house. I just find it's faster and easier, and it also is less temptation, because when I go to the supermarket, I'm tempted to buy all the specials, and I'm talking about the specials at the end of the aisles, which are the things that I should not eat. Because when you're trying to do something like this, here's a piece of advice. If you're in a muscle building phase and you're trying to eat high calories, the worst thing you can do is snack and bite and eat little bits and pieces of other things, because you're already eating 3,000 calories. So it's so easy to blow your calories out accidentally. So you just got to keep your calorie intake high, your satiety high, your fullness high. So this has to be food that's high in fullness and satiety, so you're not craving. Because if you do start snacking on other things, you're just going to blow your calories out and put fat on. So you got to make sure the food that you're actually eating, you like, tastes good, and you don't have cravings. So I've done that, and that was really cool. So I am going to start tracking whether I actually stick to it or not, because I will make adjustments throughout the 8 weeks too. And so, yeah, that's where I'm at with all of that. Thank you. When it comes to the training, I'll probably put this in a separate video, so make sure you subscribe if you haven't already. But I think when you go down to two separate workouts, two separate weight training workouts I'm talking about, I do want them to both be full body, but they have, one's a posterior focus and one's a anterior focus, so front and back. So one will all be pulling and one will all be pushing. So when I do a workout, or when I do a split like this, I like to put a lot of big compound exercises, so you get more done in less time. So there will be deadlifts and rows, and there will be bench press and stuff like that. So what this is doing is, it's just giving me a less anxiety inducing version of what I do still want to achieve. So yeah, I still want to get back on stage, but I know over time I have a good level of self-awareness, and I know when I need to just back it off and do something slightly different without going all the way back. So I think that this is what's going to do it for me. Please comment if you got anything out of this. Please comment if you have questions. If there's anything in particular you would like me to cover, please let me know, because I want these videos to be really personalized and helpful to you. And thank you for watching all the way to the end, and I look forward to keeping you updated.